sit with those from your family that do come, Uh, porque mañana voy a dirigir el mensaje a sus padres y a ustedes. Así que, y después me voy. Quiero decirle algo antes, que mañana voy a salir corriendo de aquí, pero quiero decirle que no los saludo y no los abrazo ni nada de eso. Una, porque estamos supuestos a estar social distancing, pero también yo soy más viejo y mi esposa apenas terminó chemotherapy, radiation, y pues es la primera vez que salgo a predicar en 3 meses y medio. So, si no fuera por eso, yo los abrazaría a todos, ¿no? Y los saludaría a todos. So, don't take it personal, don't take it bad. I'm not. Even my kids, when they go out, they went out to the water park the other day, and I told them, you can't come over my house, man. You got to go home and quarantine. They said, Dad, we don't got nothing. I said, don't come over here, man. And we didn't take care of the kids that night. That we were going to take care of the kids for 2 days. And then they understood. I said, you have to be a little bit responsible. So that's what we're trying to do is be responsible. And so please don't take it personally, Normally, I hang out and, I'm a pretty social person, man. So I don't like preachers that come. When I used to have preachers come, I said, you come, man, don't be hiding in the office. Don't talk to the people, man. Hang out with them a little bit. Because people want to see you, They want to be able to at least say hi to you or something. So I've tried to say hi to as many as possible, man. So, bueno, vamos a leer aquí en el versículo 6. Y luego yo les cuento lo que pasó y así ustedes pueden atar cabos ahí, ¿no? Dice, y aconteció que cuando ellos llegaron, él vio a Eliab y pensó, ciertamente su ungido está delante de Jehová. Pero Jehová dijo a Samuel, no mires, ¿no?, su apariencia, ni lo alto de su estatura, pues yo lo rechazo. Porque Jehová no mira lo que mira el hombre mira lo que está delante de sus ojos, pero Jehová mira el corazón. Y tengan en mente que Dios estaba buscando no un jovencito que fuera carita, Él estaba buscando un joven que tuviera el corazón de un rey, un joven que más adelante pudiera ser el rey de una nación, ¿no? Entonces, dijo, luego Isaí llamó a Abinadab y lo hizo pasar ante Samuel, quien dijo, tampoco a este ha elegido Jehová. Después, Isaí hizo pasar a Sama y Samuel dijo, tampoco a este ha elegido Jehová. Isaí hizo pasar a 7 de sus hijos ante Samuel y este dijo a Isaí, a ninguno el Señor escogió. Entonces Samuel le preguntó a Isaí, quien era el padre de David, le dijo, ¿son estos todos los jóvenes o son estos todos tus hijos? Y él respondió, todavía queda uno, el más pequeñito, pero lo tenemos allá cuidando las ovejas mientras nosotros veníamos a la cena y a ofrecer sacrificio. Y dice, manda a traerlo, porque no vamos a comer hasta que él llegue aquí. Samuel lo manda a buscar. Isaí mandó por él y le hizo entrar, y era de tez sonrosada, o sea, he was good looking, man. Era guapo, ¿no? He was, all the girls that were there, they said, wow, man, I can't wait to meet David, He was good looking, he was tall, he was blonde. What else do you want, man? Right? I always tell my wife, when I was small, when I was young, I was blonde. wife said, you've always been black, man, you know. But anyway, and God spoke to Samuel. As soon as he came in and Samuel looked at him, saw that he was good looking, he had nice eyes, everything about him was perfect. The only thing was he was a little kid. He was a young boy, a teenager. God told him, get up and anoint him because this is the one that I choose. So Samuel took the horn of oil and anointed him in front of all his brothers. And from that day on, the Bible says, from that day on, the Spirit of God was upon David, and then Samuel got up and left. En otras palabras, cuando Samuel lo miró, era guapo, era hermoso, era rubio, era un chamaquito bien carita. Y Dios le dice a Samuel, levántate, úngelo, porque este es el que yo escojo. Samuel se levanta, le echa el aceite, que era señal de que el Espíritu de Dios venía sobre él, lo estaba ungiendo. No lo estaba ungiendo para que él peleara con Goliat, lo estaba ungiendo porque él iba a ser el rey de Israel. Entonces, dice la Escritura que desde ese día en adelante el Espíritu de Dios estuvo sobre David. Y Samuel se levantó y se fue a su casa, porque esa era la misión que él tenía. Ahora, si puedo, déjame decirte esto en esta noche. No hay nadie, no hay ninguno de ustedes aquí que Dios no tiene sus ojos sobre él. Por más pequeño que tú seas, por más insignificante, por más rebelde que sea, cuando yo estaba en la iglesia, yo estaba un poquito así como este chamaco. How old are you? 11. Big for 11, man. Shoot. Big old dude, man. You're going to be big when you grow. He's big, man. 11, man. 11-year-olds, little kids, man. But anyway, cuando yo estaba en la iglesia así, venían los predicadores y siempre decían, ese muchacho que está ahí, tráelo acá. Y oraban por mí. Y luego me daban palabras, me decían, un día tú vas a predicar el evangelio. Y yo decía, todos dicen lo mismo, you know, man. I said, they all say the same thing, you know. They ain't got nothing else to say, so they pick me out so they can pray for me and say that God's going to use me, you know. I said, I don't even want to be in church, man. Yo ni quiero estar en la iglesia. Y esta gente está orando por mí, dándome profecía y todo. Y mi mamá venía y me decía, tú ves, Dios te está hablando. Y tú tan rebelde que eres. Yo decía, mami, ese tipo siempre que viene aquí me dice lo mismo, you know. Tiene 5 años viniendo a la iglesia, 5 años me dice la misma cosa. Y yo no veo cambio. Mi pastor una vez me dijo, tú sabes, yo estoy creyendo lo que los profetas dicen que vienen aquí. Y yo le dije a mi pastor, no le creas a esos tipos nomás vienen aquí y dicen lo mismo, predican lo mismo siempre. Y mi pastor me decía, ¿cómo eres rebelde? ¿No? Y mi abuelita también me decía lo mismo. Yo nunca le hacía caso, man. Yo me fui de la iglesia y me fui a vivir la vida loca, ¿no? Y Ricky Martin todavía no había nacido, ¿no? ¿Te entiendes? ¿Verdad? Ricky Martin me debe a mí regalías por esa canción, ¿no? ¿Te entiendes? ¿Verdad? Pero, entonces yo nunca, ahora cuando me convertí, lo primero que pensé fue en todo lo que me habían dicho esos locos que venían a la iglesia a predicar, que yo me burlaba y me reía de ellos. Pero una cosa es cierta, no importa dónde tú estés, no importa dónde está tu corazón esta noche, no importa lo que tú has hecho, lo que no has hecho, Dios tiene sus ojos sobre ti. Y tú tienes que creer eso de todo corazón, ¿no? Cuando yo conocí a mi esposa, yo no tenía dinero, yo trabajaba en un ministerio, pero nos daban así, de vez en cuando nos daban unos centavos para nosotros comprar rasura, crema y shampoo y eso, ¿no? Y yo siempre estaba pidiéndole shampoo a la gente en la iglesia. Decía, tráeme un jabón, hermano. Y la hermana decía, ¿qué no tienes dinero? Y yo, ¿por qué tú crees que te estoy pidiendo un jabón? I'm poor, man. You know, give it up, man. Give me a soap or something, or bring me some shampoo in a little bottle or something. Pero siempre yo le pedía, y una de las cosas que cuando conocí a mi esposa, yo caminaba like maybe 8 miles, man, to her house, caminando. Estaba más joven, tenía fuerza, además estaba enamorado. So I used to tell her, I walk a mile for you. Y ella me decía, you walk about 8 miles every time you come here. Yo dije, I know, man. Can you tell your mom to give me 50 cents for the bus, man? Y ella me decía, what? You don't have no money? I said, I'm broke, man. I'm a poor missionary. And she says, and you want to get married? I said, well, I'll have some money by then, man. You know, we'll have money by then, you know. And so she still remembers that, you know, because I used to sit in the beach with her. She lived by the beach, and I used to sit on the beach with her, and we'd have a Coke between the both of us because she didn't have no money either. She was broke too. She laughed at me. And when I would sit there, I'd see the planes flying over, going into the airport in San Juan, and I'd tell her, one day, man, me and you are going to travel all over the world. And she said, you so crazy. Because she talks like that. She talks like a black girl. She said, you so crazy. You believe all that nonsense. And I said, you know, you keep talking like that. I ain't taking you with me. I'm going to go by myself, man. That's why I'm here by myself. No. Anyway, I always used to ask her mom for 50 cents. You know, there was a lady in church. I'd walk to church sometimes. It was further, or I'd hitch a ride. And then there was a lady in church that I used to tell her, I said, that's my main lady, man, because I always hustle her for 50 cents also for the bus. And she'd say, bang, hijo, and give me 50 cents for the bus. I said, thank God, man, I don't got to walk home, man. And then, but later on, I told her, hey, you know what, we have to grow in faith, man, you know. We have to grow a little bit. You need to make it an even dollar for a coffee and a donut on the way home, you know. She ended up giving me $3 every service so I could buy something to eat, a sandwich or something on the way home. But the whole idea is this. I didn't have nothing, but I would tell my wife all the time, we're going to travel all over the world, you know. And she would laugh. She'd say, you're so crazy. You believe your own stuff. And I said, yeah. She don't say that no more because she has traveled about 55 times around the world with me, you know, right? I'm being by myself. I've traveled 285 times around the world. It's 55,000 miles to go around the globe, you know. And I've done that in all the miles that I've traveled. On American Airlines, I got 12 million miles just on American Airlines alone. Delta, I got a couple of million. United, some other airlines. But the whole idea is this. I thought about everything that God has said. So even though I was in jail, even though I was shooting drugs, even though I was stealing, doing all kinds of crazy things, God's eye was on me. The church would tell my mother, ese hijo tuyo está endemoniado. Of course I was possessed, man. Look what I was doing. If I wasn't, I'm not possessed now, I'm in church, right? But I was possessed at that time. They didn't even want me near church, man. But I would think at night, man, God forgot about me. God hasn't forgotten about you. I don't care how insignificant you feel, how little you feel. I don't care what what you think about yourself. You know, some people don't think very much about themselves. Some people think I ain't worth nothing, man. I'm just a loser, huh? You know, my life is a wreck. My life is a mess. That's probably true. Who knows, man? If you think it, it's probably true, you know. People used to come in my office and say, Pastor, I'm a wreck, man. I'm a mess. I'm a failure. I said, I know, man, but give God a break, man, you know. Give God a chance in your life. And they would say, you agree with me? I said, well, you're telling me. So what do you want me to do, go against you? I believe that you ain't worth nothing, but for God, you're worth a lot. So I used to think the same thing. I'd say, man, I'm never going to amount to nothing. My mom is right, you know. I'm always going to be a loser. My kids are all over the place, man. I've abandoned them. I've left all of them, you know. And then all of a sudden, man, I come to Christ. And I'm sitting in church. I got long hair all the way down to here, man. I look like I was going to say something that don't sound right, you know. You can say freaking, right? It don't mean nothing, man. Don't make too much of it, man. But I look like a freaking animal, man, in church, you know. Everybody would go by me and go, ooh, you know, and I said, leave me alone, man, you know. I'm not too saved. So keep going, man. Don't mess with me, you know. They were worried about my hair. One brother came over and said, tú te tienes que cortar la greña. And I said, tú me tienes que dejar quieto porque te voy a poner una paliza a ti, man. Si sigues molestando. Yo no me voy a cortar nada, ni para ti, ni para el pastor, ni nadie. Y si no quieren problemas conmigo, déjenme quieto. Y el pastor vino y dijo, mire, joven, usted se, yo le, ya le dije al diácono, man, que me deje quieto. Ahora te lo voy a decir a ti, pastor. Just leave me the heck alone. I'm going to sit there and I'm going to listen to the word. Make sure you preach good because I need it. And I sit there, man. I wouldn't raise my hand. I wouldn't do nothing. Nunca daba una ofrenda, you know. No tenía dinero para dar una ofrenda. Me miraban los diáconos cuando pasaban la ofrenda. Y yo decía, keep going, man. I ain't got no money, man. Dale, síguele. Ponle, no? And I remember, and then after I became a Christian, I was serving God in church. Man, I love God. So they'd say, let's give you a tithe and offering. I didn't have no money. So I take an envelope, empty envelope, seal it, put my name on it, and I throw it in the thing. And then people would get mad at me, man. One day they called me in the office. They said, how come you always throw an empty envelope in there? I said, I ain't got no money. How smart are you? You couldn't figure that out on your own? And then I told the pastor said, well, don't put the envelope in because you're wasting the envelope. I said, no, I'm using my faith. Someday I'm going to tithe more than you, pastor. Someday I'm going to give so much money, you're not going to want me to leave this church. You know, it's going to hurt you when I leave this church. So I became the best tither in the church eventually, you know. And to this day, nobody in that church gives as much tithe as I used to give, you know. And I left 40-something years ago, you know. Imagine that. So in my church, when I was a pastor, nobody gave more tithe than me. I give my wife $100 or $200 or $300. I said, you owe God the tithes from this. She said, didn't you tithe? I said, stop being a weasel. Tithe from your money, man. And we learned how to give it. It was no big deal. So all them things that I thought, I started to think that God maybe still had his eye on me. Maybe God was thinking about me. You know, quizás Dios estaba pensando, you know, it made me think when you said what you said today, it made me think that God's got his eye on you, man. God has not abandoned you. God has not left you. No, nobody in this room got us left. You know, we had young people in the church that would say, yeah, but why does my father beat me, man, the way he does? And I didn't really have an answer as a pastor. I couldn't explain that to them. But I would tell them this, God has his eye on you, man. God is going to fulfill his purpose in your life. And so now I realize that God never forgot about me. And God will never forget about you. God will never stop looking at you and thinking and realizing that he is going to change your life and your future forever. He's going to change everything about you because he's got his eye on you, you know. David was taking care of the sheep, you know. David was the youngest one. Shepherding sheep was for young boys and for old men. It was an insignificant job. It wasn't a job you could say, yo, man, I'm the shepherd of my father's sheep, man. You weren't proud about that. It was a dirty job. It was a lonely job. But that's what David was doing. He was taking care of his father's sheep. And he was out there all by himself, and they came to anoint the king. And the first guy that passed, he was strong, you know. He was big, he was built, he was a warrior. He was a soldier. And when Samuel saw him, Samuel said, this has got to be the one that God wants. This has got to be him, you know. And all of a sudden, when he went over to anoint them, God said, no, I reject this one. You're looking at him on the outside. You're looking at how tall he is, how strong he is. I'm not looking for somebody that's strong and tall. I'm looking for somebody that's got the right heart. God's not looking for you to say, you know, man, you can sing, you can preach, you know the word of God, you can do a bunch of things, you got all these talents. God is looking for somebody that's got the right heart, the heart to love him, the heart to raise their hands up and say, God, I love you. Above all things, I love you. I'm in love with you. I'm passionate about you. I want to serve you. And it's incredible that all 7 of his brothers came before, and God said, no, 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 no. So you know what Samuel did? Samuel asked his father, he said, hey, you got any more sons? And he said, we got one more, man, but he's insignificant. Even his father thought he was insignificant. He said, he's the youngest one. He's taking care of the sheep. We didn't even invite him because we didn't think it was important for him to come. And Samuel said this. Samuel said, we won't sit down to eat until he comes. So here now comes David. No pinta nada, man, you know. Right? No pinta. He come in and he said, looking as like a, I got to think about the words I'm going to say, man, because sometimes I let a word or two go that I shouldn't, man. I forget I'm a Christian, you know. But I'm trying to, you know, his goofy self, you know, right? He came in and he sat there and looked at his brothers, and his brothers were mad. Because how many of you know the big brothers? They always get mad at you. No, right? Tell the truth, man. Your sisters, man? Do they get on your case sometimes? Huh? Yeah, say the truth, man. Don't worry. Break their phones, man. You know what they're saying right now? Wait until you get home, man. Right? But that's a normal thing when you got older brothers and older sisters. They pick on you, man. They beat up on you. Plus, you get all the hand-me-down clothes too. You know. So David came in and looked at him, and they told him, looking so smug about, man. We're hungry. We've been waiting for you to get here. It's your fault we're not eating. But now David comes in, and God tells Samuel, úngelo. And everybody's looking. They know what this ceremony is about. They know that when they put the oil on him, they know that God is saying, I choose this one. So his brothers had to sit there and say, wow, man, my little brother is getting picked by God right now to be the king of Israel. Now, David didn't understand what was going on. David didn't know what was happening. But I guarantee you one thing. His life from that moment on changed forevermore. His life changed. He never again was the same man. He never again was the same boy. He grew up to be a fierce warrior, to be a king. And he failed too at life because he turned around and he killed the guy because he slept with his wife, you know. But at the same time, nobody else in the Bible does God say, this is a man after my own heart. Nobody in the Bible. You don't find no other man in the Bible that God says that, you know. And what that shows is that God is a merciful God. I might not give you another chance, but God gives you another chance. You know, I might say, you ain't never touching my phone again, buddy. I will kick you in the teeth, man. But God will say, I'll give you my phone every day, man. Break it if you want, you know. Now, that's God. That's not me. All right? God is another story. That's the way it is. That's why we forgive, because God forgives, you know. How many people have a hard time forgiving? You know. I did so many bad things to my mom, and when I was pastoring in Phoenix, I brought her in, man. I flew her down, and I said, I want to honor you, man. And we did a party for her in church, and everybody bought her gifts and everything. They didn't even know her, you know. They were just trying to be nice to me. But I brought my mom, and in front of everybody in church, I asked her to forgive me. She was hardcore, man. She didn't budge her, man. She just looked at me like nothing, you know. But then I took her out that night. I put her in my car, and I said, come on, I want to take you for a ride. I need to talk to you. And I stopped in the parking lot of Walmart, man, of all places, where every Latino in the neighborhood was there, man, you know. Yelling in the parking lot, cómprame una bolsa de quién sabe qué, you know. And I said, and my mother said, what are we doing here? And I said, I want you to look at me, Mom. And I want you to tell me if you forgive me or not. I'm sorry for all the heartache, for all the things I ever said to you, I ever did. You know, I put a mask on me and my buddy, and we kind of kidnapped my mom and my aunt, man, and took their money one time, you know. And she always knew that it was me, because she told me, I know that was you, man. And then she found out it was Cisco, this friend of mine. She said, fuiste tú y Cisco, que nos asaltaron, nos llevaron todo el dinero. So years later, I took her to buy furniture one day. I said, Mom, I'm going to buy you some furniture for your house. And she said, but we're going to where I like to buy furniture. I said, I can't afford furniture there. I can't afford a $20,000 sofa. So we got to go, you know, to Walmart, man, where I can afford all the sofas you want. But I ended up buying her really nice furniture, bought her new TVs, new stove, new refrigerator. I furnished her whole house, you know. But that night that she told me that, I said, I just want you to look at me. And I said, por favor, perdóname. Te pido perdón por todo lo que te hice, madre mía. And she started to cry, man. And I said, wow, man. And then she told me, she said, now I want you to look at me. And for the first time in her life, she told me, I want you to forgive me for not being there when you needed me the most. She never missed a day, a weekend, going to visit me in prison. She never left prison without leaving me $100 or $200, you know, so I could buy cigarettes and I can, you know, wheel and deal in there, you know. But she never, it would be winter and I'd see that little lady getting off a taxi cab, man, walking into the administration building. I would start going down because I knew my mom brought me some Puerto Rican food, brought me some goodies and whatnot. And she never missed, but you know what? She said, I never was there when you really needed me. When you needed a hug, when you needed me, I never showed up because I was too busy doing other things. And I started to cry, man. I said, I forgive you, Mom. And I hugged her, man, and I just held her. She was real skinny and whatnot, you know. She was blonde hair, blue-eyed, real white, you know. I doubted that she was my mother a lot of times. They say, Mom, you sure I don't have una negra por allá? That's my mother. Y tú me tienes aquí, you know. And so we made up and we forgave each other. And then my mom got Alzheimer's. She never again remembered me, you know. Every time I went, she'd tell me some story, man. She'd say, hay un hombre con una barba. I had a big beard at that time. She said, hay un hombre con una barba que dice que es mi hijo. Y yo le decía, a mí me lo dijo ahorita allá afuera también. Y ella decía, no le crea, no le haga caso. And my wife would get mad. My wife said, why do you tell her those things? And I said, ella está en su rollo, man, you know. Ella está en un viaje que ya no, de allá no va a volver, you know. And so I never got a chance to talk seriously with my mom again, you know. But we were able to forgive each other. And I realized one thing, that through all of that, when I was using drugs, when I was getting locked up, when I was messing up my kids' lives, when I was just messing up everything I touched with my hands, the only one that had his eye on me was God, man. The only one that when I hit rock bottom, he said, hey, man, I still got a plan for your life, buddy. You know, the only one that I remember, one guy came to church and I was sitting down in church just like this, kind of depressed, man, kind of just out of it. I didn't want to hear anything. And this guy said, "Hey," he said, "Do you hear me? I'm talking to you." And I looked at him. I said, "You talking to me?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "God has a great plan for your life." And that week I went and talked to my pastor. I said, "Pastor, can you lend me $150?" And he said, "I don't lend money, man." I said, "Then give me $150, okay? Whichever is easier." And he said, "What do you want $150 for?" I said, "I want to go register and take the exam for the university, man, and I don't have no money." He said, "Why are you going to take the exam? You think you're going to pass?" I said, "I'll know in 2 weeks after I take the exam, you know." I always acted stupid to him, you know, man, because that's the only way I could get that $150 was to play along with him. But I got the $150. I went, I registered, and in a little box on there, they said, "Would you like to apply for a scholarship?" I said, "Shoot, free money, let's go with it, man. You know, I might get the scholarship and not get into college, man. But it's good. I'll take the money and go home, man." But so I went and I took the test, and 2 weeks later, man, this envelope came, and I didn't even want to open it. I was trying to see it, you know, you try to peek in it. And my buddy told me, "Open it, man. So if you don't go to the university, you don't go. If you don't get in, you don't get in." And I said, "It's easy for you to say, you know. You play the piano and you're talented and whatnot." And he said, "You think I'm going to play the piano in a bar for the rest of my life?" And I said, "I forgot you're a Christian, man." I opened the letter and it said, "Congratulations, you've been accepted to the University of Puerto Rico, you know." And they said, "You got to come down and register and get your books and get all your ID and whatnot." When I went down, they sent me to the finance office. And I got one scholarship for all the time that I was in the university. And I finished the university, and as soon as I graduated, I got another letter. "You have another scholarship to go do a master's degree." And I didn't even know what a master's degree was, but I said, "Sure, I'm going. It's a scholarship, man, you know. That's free money, man. We're going down there and get them bucks." And I went. My mother never went to my graduation, you know, but she knew I graduated, you know. She just barely made it to my wedding because she said, "You're going to fail at everything." So God had his eye on me. God has his eye on you right now. It might be Joe. I forgot what your name is again. Dario? Dariel. You said Dario, man. I thought, you playing with me or what, man? What's your name, man? David. David too? See, God's got his eye on David's, man. Dario, I don't know, man. You know, I don't know, but I think he got his eye on you too, man. And Joe, God just don't want you to break no more phones, okay, man? Please. But he's got his eye on you too. You know? He's got his eye on you, on him, on you. He's saying, "I want to be your father, man. I want to show you the love of a father, so you never lack that love again in your life." You know? God always has a plan for you. So when they brought David and they accepted David, the Bible says the Spirit of God came on David's life. Y jamás se apartó de él. Y David fue uno de los reyes que mató más gente. Tanta gente mató David que Dios no los dejó edificar el templo. Le dijo, "Tú no puedes edificar el templo." Pero una de las cosas que sucedió también fue que Dios usó a este hombre de una manera poderosa y lo levantó. Lo hizo un hombre conforme al corazón de Dios. Ahora, este es mi mensaje para ti en esta noche. No importa dónde tú estás hoy con Dios, porque la gente cree que a veces en la iglesia la gente cree que tú tienes que estar orando, tú tienes que estar ayunando, tú tienes que estar leyendo la Biblia para que Dios te use. Dios quiere usarte a ti simple y sencillamente porque Dios quiere usarte. You don't have to do nothing special. You don't have to be nothing special. Just be who you are and God is going to use you. Years ago, I traveled to another country. Well, to this particular country to see a church that filled their auditorium 5 times on Sunday during the services. 17,500 people in every service. And they filled it 5 times. People would make lines outside. They'd be there at 4 in the morning to get into the first service at 7 in the morning. And so I went. I wanted to see how great this service was. So me and a buddy of mine, we laugh a lot together and whatnot. I said, look, we'll go, man. We'll hang out. We'll tour a little bit, and go see the city and whatnot. Go eat some good food, and then we'll get on a flight and come back home, man. And we'll stay in a hotel. We'll pitch in. I pay half, you pay half. And you pay your meals, I pay my meals. And we'll go see this church, man. So we got there real early, man. And we got in and we said, listen, we're pastors from the United States. We want to see this church. And we want to be in the service. And they said, well, listen, man, you can't see the pastor because he's too busy. I said, okay, just point him out to us, man. So we got into service, man, and the pastor came out of somewhere, man, in the back there. And a little old guy, man, he said, and he looked around and he said, oh, qué bueno que están aquí hoy. And I said, shoot, how did this guy get 17,500 people in every service, man? I'm ready to leave right now. And he said, oh, hoy Dios va a cambiar tu vida. And I said, I can't take it, man. I'm getting, I was laughing, and my buddy said, don't laugh, man. People are looking at us. I said, don't laugh. This guy's hilarious, man. And then he said, oh. And I would say, my goodness, is he going to do this the whole 25 minutes that he's got to preach? And then he would walk and he'd say, tú no sabías que hoy Dios iba a cambiar tu vida. That's all he said. And then he said, he preached for said a couple of verses and said a couple of things. And then he said, todo el mundo que quiera aceptar a Cristo, póngase de pie. And 5,000 people stood up all over that auditorium, man, and rushed to the front. And I told my buddy, me and you got the wrong approach. We got to change our approach now. We got to come in and talk like this little old guy. So one service, the second service, the third service, the fourth service, we were just like amazed. We were in awe of how God moved and how God used this little old guy, man, that didn't say nothing. He just said, oh. And I said, that's how we got to preach from now on, I wanted to preach. I said, the next time I preach, I'm going to start like that. But no, man. So anyway, at the end, this guy came over to us. He said, the pastor would like to see you in his office. And I told my buddy, I said, now we're going to meet this mysterious guy face to face. So we get over there, and he says, are you guys hungry? ¿Tienen hambre? Yo dije, sueño, hambre, todo. Y él dice, vamos a comer. We got in the car, and he was driving, and he turned around in the car in the parking lot, and he said, I am so glad you guys are here. That's how he talked. It was amazing. And so I looked at my buddy. I said, free meal, man. Let's go. So we went. He took us to a nice restaurant. We ate. We talked. He shared the whole testimony of how he started the church, how God called him. So at nighttime, we're in the hotel room, and I told my buddy, turn the light off. And he turned the light off, and I said, buenas noches, mi hermano. Hoy fue un día maravilloso. And my buddy said, don't clown that guy. I said, I'm not clowning that. I said, I'm going to talk from now on. When I get home, I'm going to tell my wife. When I told my wife that story, my wife was on the ground, man. She said, you're so crazy. You're mad crazy, man. But I realized one thing. God is not looking for somebody that can preach. God's not looking for it. Most pastors can't preach anyway. The majority of the pastors are not good preachers. That's why they bring preachers in, you know. The majority of the pastors are good pastors because that's all that God calls them for is to be a pastor. But it's not about preaching, and it's not about your abilities and your gifts and the grace that you have. It's about God choosing you and God saying, I want you. I'm going to use you. That's who God's going to use. He's going to use you because God has the power to change your life, you know. Nicky Cruz doesn't speak English or Spanish. He speaks some other dialect, man, you know, right? We were in Russia together, man. And Nicky Cruz got up and he was talking about, yo, Jesus Christ, he saved my life. It's Jesus Christ, this, that, the other thing. And I said, dang, I don't understand nothing he said, man. Right? We were with John Hagee, man, and John Hagee turned around and told me, did he say he's in the Nacho gang? I said, I don't have any clue what he's saying. And I'm Puerto Rican, man. So you're white. You don't know what he's saying either. So let's just take it by faith, man, you know. But the whole idea was that he said, and then he made an altar call. And I said, yeah, I wonder if these Russians understood. The interpreter didn't understand. All of a sudden, Nicky Cruz said, tonight, Jesus Christ wants to change your life. Yes, sir. And I said, what did he say? All of a sudden, man, thousands of young people start coming off of them in that auditorium, man. Just flooding, crying, man. And I realized one thing. God is the one that uses you. So it doesn't matter how small you think you are, how big you are. Doesn't matter how good you think you are, how bad you are. None of that really matters. What matters is what God thinks about you. David's brothers didn't think anything about it. David's father had him out there taking care of the sheep. Didn't even invite him because didn't consider that he would be chosen for a king. Yet God had chosen him from beforehand, from the womb, from his mother's womb. God had chosen David to be the king of Israel. And he proved it that day because he didn't take none of his brothers, he took him. So you might be the smallest one in this room tonight, the most insignificant one, or you might feel that way. Man, and God says, that's the one I want. That's the one I want. I was teaching in a Bible school in Honduras, and there was a girl there sitting, she sat in the front. She had all the nice clothes, you know, her nails done, everything, and I said, I'm gonna mess with this girl's head, man. So I walked up to her one day and I said, you know, God's telling me that he's gonna send you to a jungle, man. I see alligators, I see anacondas, man, pythons, you know, piranhas, man. I see savages, you know. And she looked at me and she said, I can't go. I'm afraid. And I said, relax, man. I'm just messing with you, man, you know. And then I went to the hotel, and I'm in the hotel that night, and I'm praying. Before I went to bed, I got up in front of the bed. I said, Father, forgive me for messing with that girl's head, man. But it was fun, you know. And then I said, you know, I'm really sorry. Tomorrow, I'm going to give her an offering. I got to do something to, you know, to redeem myself. And God said, don't give her an offering. Because today you told her, but tomorrow I'm going to tell her. This is what I want you to tell her. Tell her that I am sending her to the jungle. That I am sending her into harm's way. Because I've chosen her and I've had my hand on her all of her life. So I said, well, you can't pick. There's another guy coming next week to teach. Let him bear the bad news. He said, no, you want her to play with her? You do it. So the next day I get up and I'm looking at her, man. And she's got them nice shoes and nice watch and looking fly, and got her hair. She's throwing her hair back. And I'm saying to myself, if you only knew where the heck you going, man. Right? And I said, God, I'm not telling her, man. I can't tell her. He's going to destroy her. And I stood in front of her again. And I said, listen, I don't joke twice, man. Once, yes. But God told me last night, while I was asking for forgiveness for telling you what I did yesterday, God said he is going to send you to a jungle. He's going to send you to a place where you will live on the water. And there'll be a lot of dangerous things there. She started to cry, man. She just lost it. She started to cry one night. And everybody was looking at me, like saying, how cruel could you be? Twice. But I wasn't being cruel, right? So here she is, and she's crying. And I told her, I said, but don't worry, man. God is going to be with you, man. No harm is going to come to you. You'll never be bit by a snake. You'll never be bit by an alligator. You might be killed by the savages, but, that's a maybe, And she finished. And one day I get a letter in the mail from her, man. And she says, it's your fault that I'm here, right? She said, I'm a medical doctor. I should be in a hospital working, yet I'm here working with savages, man, and with all kinds of diseases and whatnot. She said, you better get on a plane and get here quick to visit me, And I wrote her back. I said, I am not coming to visit you, right? Because God didn't say nothing about me being bit by a snake or eaten by an alligator. So the only thing I'm doing is I'm sending you some money. And I'm sending you some cassettes so you can play them to the people there, some teachings. I said, but I am not going to that God-forsaken country, Later on I went, and I saw her. She spent 10 years there. 10 years. And if you see that woman today, you say she's Rambo's baby sister, man. Because she's tough, man. I went there, she had a machete on there, man. She had fatigues on, she had a hat. She's buff, man, and I was like, whoa, man. I said, the animals ain't messing with you. Nobody's messing with you. A guy liked her, and he said, I can't marry her, man. She scares me. I said, don't worry about it, man. Just fall into her arms, man. I said, don't worry about it. Just faint in her arms, right? But the whole idea is that God has his hand upon you. God has his eye on you. It's God that chooses you. It's God that picks you out. It's God that says, I don't want him, I don't want him, I don't want him, I don't want her, I don't want her. I want the guy that breaks the telephones. I want Daddy-O, right? I want El Daddy, I want David. I want David. They're small. Everybody might think they're not going to amount to nothing. No. God uses people, man. See? God uses people. So tonight, I want to pray for you. I want to pray for you if you feel that you're insignificant. Listen, that's not hard to do. It's not hard to feel insignificant. There's people in this room tonight that you feel small. You feel little. You feel God doesn't love me. He doesn't love me like he loves that guy that can play the piano and the guitar. He don't love me like the bass player. I saw you looking back at the bass player and telling him, catch up, man. You had But where's the bass player at? Where's the bass player at? Right? Don't pay no mind. When he looks back at you, go like this. Hey, the heck you looking back at? Just play. I'll follow you, man. That's how you got to answer him, man. Right? Next time he looks at you funny like that, say, what? Just act crazy, man. Say, ta, 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 doom, doom. And you see he won't look back at you no more, man. I saw him. He said, that guy looked at him. He said, he didn't know whether to pull the string or not. He said, the people that lead worship, they always do that. That's why they're so messed up. The drummer, you see, they don't bother him. Because the drummer, he's behind a cage. Right? They got him in a cage. Just in case he throws everything around, you know what they want. But the drummer, he plays whatever the heck he wants. Right? This poor guy was over there going. Where's the other girl that plays the piano right there, man? Where's the one that plays the piano? Right? She wasn't even, she was lost all by herself. Nobody. She was over there, man. This guy couldn't look at her because she won't look at him. She said, she didn't care, man. She was just playing her own music over there, man, right? You know, the two girls that sing, they're singing on their own too, man, right? This guy, they kicked this guy out, man. They said, get out of here, man. You know, we'll let the other bass player play, man, right? But here you go, man. They even kicked the youth pastor out, man. Get out of here too, man, you know. But the whole idea is this, man, right? That while he's looking, and I know what he's doing, he's trying to tell him, hey, you got to catch up, man. You know? You're about three chords behind. Well, you stayed behind a little while. You took a pause there, man. You said pause, man. But you want to know what? That doesn't make him a bad bass player because he's developing, you know, right? You know, there's a young guy that's called Abel Zavala, right? You know who Abel Zavala is? Well, he was skinny like this guy right here, you know. Like his sisters didn't give him no food, right? Like he got to the table, he said, oh, smack, all the food is gone. What's up, man? Where's mine, Mom? I said, I put it all at the table, amigo. You got to get here early, man. Can't sleep in, man. But Abel Zavala was playing on a little piano like that, little kid, man. And I got up to preach, and I looked over at him, and I said, what are you doing there? Sit down, man. Right, not you, but Abel. And Abel went to sit down. I said, why are you sitting down? He said, you just told me to sit down. I said, you obey everything everybody tells you? Are you the piano player? He said, yeah. I said, then get over there, man. Don't abandon your post for anybody. Well, that day, I turned around, I told Abel Zavala, you know what, man? You're going to write songs. You're going to lead worship. God is going to take you to the nations of the world to sing. And I forgot all about it. I didn't even know who he was, man. So one day we're in Spain. He's singing in a concert, and I'm preaching that night. And he tells me, you know, you prophesied to me one day. I said, who are you anyway, man? He said, I'm Abel Zavala. I said, so what? I'm Joe Rosa. What does that mean? Don't mean nothing. And then he told me, he says, I'm singing tonight, and I'm going to lead worship. I said, oh. And so what? You know? And he told me, he says, well, you prophesied to me. I'm here because of a word you gave me, you know. So you never know, man. You try to ruin my phone. Maybe God allowed you to do that so that I could tell you, hey, man, God loves you. God has a plan for your life. God is looking at you from heaven and saying, that is my son. I'm going to do something great in his life. Never know. So don't let nobody tell you you can't play the bass, man. Next time they look at you, stick your tongue all the way out here at them. You know, take it out, go like this, man. Like a lizard, man. All right? It doesn't matter. There's some of you here tonight that are saying, yeah, but you don't know me like I know me. You don't know how insignificant I feel, how little. You don't know that I don't think I'm going to ever get a chance to do anything in life that's worthwhile. Let me tell you how much God thinks about you. That he's going to let every guy here and every woman here have a shot at being a mother and a father. You know how powerful that is, man? That's the only way that man can become procreators with God. Is to give birth, is to procreate a child between a man and a woman. When I looked at my son, my daughter, when she was born, I looked at her. The only one that I was there when she was born, the youngest one. When I looked at her, she looked like a little alien, because they're not pretty when they're born. Everybody says, "Qué chula, qué preciosa," and they are ugly, man. They are ugly. She looked like a little raccoon, man, right? And the nurse said, "Isn't she beautiful?" I said, "No, ma'am. You have to look at her real good, man." And she said, "But that's your daughter." I said, "I accept her as my daughter, but she's not pretty right now. Let her get some air, man, one night, And then my wife couldn't come home because she had to be on a dialysis machine, and I brought her home by myself. And I was sitting in my living room with my little daughter saying, "What the heck do I do now?" And she pooped all over the place, man. And I ran out of the house, went to the neighbor, and I said, "You got to come over, man. Stuff's coming out everywhere on her, man." I said, "You got to come and help me." She came over and she bathed her and changed her. And she said, "I'm going to stay over here with you tonight. Me and my husband are going to come over and stay." And she took care of my daughter, man. And I learned to take. But I said to myself, man, me and my wife, we procreated with God. This is what we made, You're not thinking about that, because, but that's how powerful God is. He gives you that opportunity to be a mother and a father, to be a wife, to be a husband, to be a man or a woman of God, to stand up in church and say, "Man, I love God with all of my heart. God's done great things in my life," just like we were singing tonight, And be able to look back and see what God has done in your life, my life. When I look at my wife and I see how God has changed her, has transformed her, she smiles at me, man. Besides turning me on, I look at her and I say, "Wow, God took two nothings and made one something out of it." So I'm blessed, man. My daughter is a beautiful, she looks like a Hindu, man, but she's beautiful. I tell her, I said, "Hey, Robbie, come over here, man." And I sent her into the Indian store to get spices, and they talk to her in Hindi, and she said, "I don't understand them, Dad." I said, "Just put a dot here, man. And they'll give you everything free, man." And she laughs, but she's beautiful. She's got 5 kids. She's got 4 daughters and 1 son. She's a beautiful mom. She's a beautiful wife. Beautiful daughter. My son is a good-looking guy. And I looked at them when they were born, and I said, "Wow, man, how God has given me a great opportunity, even when I didn't deserve none of this." I became a good son, became a good husband, a good man, a good employee, a good employer later on, became a great pastor, a great man of God. When I was a loser. You know why? Because God, in the darkness, God said, "I got a plan for that guy back there. I got a good plan for him. I'm going to use his life." When I tell people my story and I share with people, they say, "Wow, man, you're blessed, man." And I am. Just to have a wife, I'm blessed. I don't deserve a wife. But just to have a wife, I'm blessed. So I want to pray for you. If you feel tonight, if you feel small, insignificant, if your self-esteem is low, you don't think that God is going to do something with you, I got news for you. God has his eye. He's saying, we're not going to sit down to eat until he comes to this meeting. God is going